Last time on Castle Crashers, we kicked the Industrial Prince out of his castle. Sadly though, we weren't able to save the Orange Princess because she was taken away by the wizard. So we're going to be pursuing him across the sea, thanks to these relics we've found on our journey. And thus, we embark. Crag's rather neutral about the ocean. He thinks it looks okay, but he doesn't quite get why it has to move around so much. And a fellow ship. How fare your travels, dudes? Oh dear. And of course, they're firing at us. Figures, there's another boat. Why wouldn't it be trying to kill us? Hell, if that thing wasn't here, I think our own ship would try to kill us. And it looks like we've run into ninja pirates, or pirate ninjas, I forget which one's which, but either way, personally I think these guys are probably my favorite designed characters in the game. You actually get them by beating the game as Crag, which is why I did this playthrough rather than any of the others, and why I always play Orange Knight first. But I just think they look kind of cool, so sue me. I mean, plus you can equip them with the laser swords and they look even cooler because then you have pirate ninjas with laser swords? Or actually no, they are literally called lightsabers in this game, I keep forgetting that, but either way, these guys aren't too terribly tough. You've probably noticed that their magic allows them to place a decoy, and if you hit the decoy after they turn into logs, then they will just sort of dive kick you, and you don't want that. This part can be a little bit difficult if only due to their sheer numbers. Basically, you're going to want to keep moving. Vertically, of course. I mean, horizontal does help, but if you do happen to activate the decoy, moving up and down just helps a lot more. And of course, if he needs anything, then there are some vegetables, or fruits rather. Geez, I can't tell fruits from vegetables, go me. I think there are fruit or vegetables in this game. Ah well, either way though, yeah, if you need healing, then break open the barrels for some stuff. I mean, you might as well, since we're here. It won't heal too terribly much, but at the same time, especially once you dwindle these numbers, or their numbers rather, these guys aren't too bad. And speaking of which, there goes the last guy, and we're done here. And they just sink after that mighty sea battle. And with that, we can finish our passage to the desert. And yes, it is just called the desert. So, on your first time playing this game, this is actually where you first get the shovel. I've had this thing all along, but I've actually not really used it because I want to save it for our second trip through. You know, just act like I actually am playing this the first time, even though I'm clearly not, so yeah. The shovel is an item you keep from playthrough to playthrough. Certain ones you don't, such as key items, but shovel, yeah, you can just dig up whenever you want after you complete this level. And oh look, we have a friendly little antlion. I am having a projectile fight with them. You can try to attack them with physical attacks, but it's much safer to use either magic or arrows. Ooh, that's actually a pretty good sword. Crag prefers hammers, of course, but, you know, that's actually not a bad sword for his stats, but yeah, you might also notice these sand pits around the antlions. Yeah, if you fall into those, you will sink, and actually, we have these scorpions here, which might be able to demonstrate that once we find another quicksand pits. There should be one soon, I believe. First, we do have to dig stuff up. Scorpions really aren't too difficult if you're not digging stuff up, because it takes one hit to kill them, and I guess they move at a decent pace, but really, you will see them coming, and unless you are digging something up, they're not much of a threat, because that's the only time that they'll really have enough time to stop and sting you with their stingers, is when you've stopped to dig. Otherwise, they do take a long time to actually charge their attack. Also, I probably could have just doubled back when the first antlion came back, but I decided not to, so two of those guys were firing projectiles at me. I mean, it's not too terribly difficult. Those shots can poison you, but they're very slow, so no need to worry about them too much, don't fret. Really, again, the biggest threat is just keeping your distance from these guys, because you see those forks and knives they have, right? They are ready to chomp down on your head, and they... oh, buddy, they won't hesitate to do so. Excuse me, that was very rude. And speaking of rude, new enemies. These are scarabs. I don't like these guys because of that attack. Now, it's a pretty easy attack to dodge, though it can catch you unaware. I just got hit because I kind of got stun-locked a little bit. I could have been unstun-locked, to be fair. It was kind of my fault, but still, nonetheless. But it's just the fact that it's kind of like the tornado attack in that it takes up a lot of time, and while you can hit guys out of tornadoes, I just prefer not to personally. I don't think you can hit them out of that attack, so yeah, prepare to wait when those guys are around. Oy. Oh, and two more. Oh boy, two at a time. The one nice thing is that while they can move about quickly, you saw they did fly around a bit, they don't actually flinch when you hit them, which does actually kind of make them easier for stuff like jump attacks. They're not the easiest enemies to sort of do that kind of thing to, you know, just hit them repeatedly until they die and they won't flinch back because they're not player characters and they're too big for that sort of thing. There is one type of enemy coming up soon that is perfect for mid-air kills, but these guys, on the other hand, they are still pretty easy. You should be able to defeat them in like 1 or 2 rounds, provided they don't get a good punching off on you. Of course, their lack of flinching does give them that advantage. They can punch you rather easily, and quite frankly, I don't care for that. Oh, and look, a boot. That's absolutely useless. Actually, during my first playthrough of this, I got so many boots because the thing is, unless it's a weapon or an animal orb in this area, it's all randomly generated stuff, so in one playthrough you might get food in one place and money in another, but in the previous playthrough I did, I just got boots all over the place. You could say I had them in spades. But I think that's the only one I get here, which, I mean, it's kind of funny finding one boot in the desert, but I was finding like, I don't know, 4 or 5 of them on my first playthrough, I think? Just so many boots. I didn't need that many boots. Crag doesn't really wear through his shoes because they're made of metal, but nonetheless, so very many boots. Of course, to be fair, they'd probably be a lot more comfortable. Though I don't think they're his size. They're like half his height, for crying out loud. Ah well, oh, and now we got some Royal Guards. Oh boy, and more Scarabs. Well, the Royal Guards, yeah, I didn't know whether they'd do that first or if I had to tell you, but they are bomb-throwing enemies. Can't go too long without some of these guys. And their splash attacks, I believe, are arrow strikes, which are kind of similar to most splash attacks. It just sends some arrows down, rather than magic out, which is what most characters do. You know, Crag sends out fire from the palm of his hand, I guess, or something similar. They just call arrows down, which is actually the magic of the Grey Knight, and probably a few other guys, I think. I'm pretty sure other people have the arrow magic. Anyway, I wanted to stomp on him more. I mean, yeah, I'd killed him a while ago, but I wanted to give him the old patented stomps, you know? Good old patented stomps. I'm pretty sure Crag would be a fan of Bully Demise. How could he not be? Alright, more Royal Guards, and I was keeping my fingers crossed, telling myself, no Scarabs. But alas, I hath jinxed myself. Also, I think coming up soon there should be a bit of a background detail. I thought it was around here, but now it's only that big old statue over there, which, to be fair, it's kind of a nice little detail. I mean, it still doesn't change the fact that this is a desert and there's not much going on anyway, but still, it's something at least, but there is something going on in the background eventually. This game is pretty good about that sort of thing. It really likes fitting in good background events. Like, for example, this is one I actually haven't seen myself, but when you first enter the forest, I believe, back at the beginning of the game, you can actually see Pipstrello, I think it is? You know, the bat we fought in the cave. Apparently you can see him pretty early on, which, again, I haven't actually noticed that myself, but nonetheless, that is pretty good. And you know, you might have... Oh, hey, there's Giraffe. You should, of course, know that he multiplies your experience gained by 1.1, because I've used only him throughout this entire game, but yeah, there are quite a few background events. You might have been able to see an animal orb that I didn't bother getting because that would have screwed with the pace of a certain level, but of course I will be going back for it later. But yeah, you can see him floating by, and speaking of floating, did you see that? Dude was just adjusting that pyramid. I don't quite think he put it on right, though. I swear it's off-center. I usually notice these things, keyword here being usually, but I'm pretty sure I see a tiny little line, so whoever that is back there, could you maybe adjust it a little bit? That's gonna really bug the hell out of me, because I can't stop noticing it. I mean, I know I'm killing royal guards right now, but there's just a line, I see it. My pseudo-OCD is acting up, oh god. Please die so I can get out of this area and not notice that anymore. Please, Royal Guard, it is your duty to die. There we go, that takes care of that. Ooh, spooky. So, here's a fairly easy mini-boss, and hey, what do you know? That there's a little reference to Alien Hominid, the first game that the Behemoth did. I will probably end up explaining a bit more about that later, but there is a thing about that game. It's sort of an arcadey game in which you actually die in one hit, unless you have a shield or something. But yes, the main character in that game dies in one hit, and as you might have noticed, these guys die in one hit too. In fact, the first guy he launched out, yeah, he unfortunately took a bit of damage and just died on the spot. Poor guy. Hey! You really thought you could get me with that. So it's really easy to hit this guy, really easy to kill the enemies he sends out, and easy to dodge this. Sometimes he's reluctant to drop it, but even if you get hit by it, it'll only bury you in the ground. Does a decent bit of damage, I think, but I don't get hit by it too often. But yeah, it's one of those things where you have to waggle the control stick or pad or whatever in order to get out of the ground. And that just takes care of that. Any more alien ships around here? No? Didn't think so. They're all too I wasn't bad-mouthing you, to be completely fair, so maybe we could just let each other go, you know, let bygones be bygones. I could go to the right, as I am always want to do, and you could do whatever aliening things you want to do, because, you know, maybe it's just a little bit rude to be doing this to Crag. You are clearly singling him out. There are plenty of specimens in this desert, and I'm sure there are more up ahead that I haven't murdered yet. You could take one of those rather than go after Crag. Seriously, guys, look, Am I gonna have to file a restraining order? I mean, come on, guys, this is really not funny anymore, so maybe if you could just back off. You're speeding up, that's not backing off at all. Oh dear, they're getting closer. Okay, for once I'm regretting not letting Crag get faster. Maybe that downfall is actually going to be his downfall. Wait, no, he's escaping just fine. Maybe Crag can make it. Maybe he's got this. No! Oh, what will become of Crag now? He's okay, he's just in jail. Well, we're gonna have to get out of here, so let's just hit this thing. Looks important, and indeed it isn't. My god, I've got the developers in here. Alright guys, I'm gonna bust you out of here later, but I've gotta take control of this ship first. This'll probably be my global airship, so I'm just going to steal it right out from under their noses. Doop-de-doop-de-doo, don't mind me, guys. I'm just a coffee dude. You're not gonna believe that, are you? Alright, well, this is a fairly easy battle. Of course, there are numerous aliens here, but my statement still stands. They are projectile enemies, but again, statement stands, and quite well as well. I mean, they all die in one hit, and, you know, they drop items fairly frequently, so you'll probably get a lot of money, and you'll probably get a lot of healing items as well. Probably not going to level up, because, you know, they're just dying in one hit, but nonetheless, see, got a couple of food items right here, got knocked on the back, but hey, they don't do much damage, right? Actually, how much damage do they do? I haven't really been paying attention to that. Wow, that's only 6? Okay, yeah, these guys are cake. And again, my defense is pretty good. You know, I've always kind of wanted to do a playthrough of this game with the alien character, because you can unlock him, but I've always wanted to do a low defense run of these guys, and probably like a no attack boost either, maybe just like speed and magic for Alien Hominid, you know, do a special run of these guys. Oh, and by the way, while you unlock these guys just by completing this level in the PS3 in this version of Castle Crashers, In the Xbox 360 version, you actually had to buy Alien Hominid yourself before he'd unlock, and I actually did do that. It was a pretty okay game, but Stage 3 glitched and there's a little thing following me and killed me constantly, so yeah, I wasn't able to complete it ever. Oh hey, an alien friend! Okay, I don't know how to pilot this thing myself, so I need your help, pal. Alright, you're good to go. Alright, you're really charging in. Okay, let's do this. It's escape time. That doesn't look like you know what you're doing. Oh, crap. And we only have a minute to escape. Okay, so, you definitely want to make sure your depth perception is good so you can actually hit this thing. Good, we've only lost 10 seconds. Good, good. Don't bother juggling these guys. I mean, it's fun to do when they're all in a big group and there's not a time limit before we explode. Here, just kill them as fast as possible. This is the hardest section. Be patient for a moment, then charge through. Don't charge through immediately, because if you get hit by a plume, you'll probably screw up repeatedly, and that won't be good. Okay, I'm not going to go back for the money because that would be dangerous. There's an open escape pod in the back, so I'm just going to go over there. And by the way, in multiplayer, you only get all of the escape pods minus one for how many people you're playing as, or... That was a weird sentence. If you're playing 4-player, you'll have 3 escape pods, 3-player, 2 escape pods, and so on and so forth. So unless you're really good at timing things, somebody's going to have to explode. They don't get taken out permanently or anything, but they just take a lot of damage. But anyway, this guy was so kind as to offer us a new animal pal. And I'm sure Crag calls this guy Snaps as well. All animals are Snaps to Crag. The llama, however... llama? The camel... Why did I think llama? Anyway, the camel, all he does is spit, and that doesn't really do much damage at all, so... Unlike Snaps back at the beginning of the game, you're better off just swinging your weapon here on this version of Snaps. And of course, it's not like the King, who his horse didn't have a second function at all. You could just swing your weapon no matter what button you press. And excuse me, very rude. So this area does actually really want to kick you off your high, camel, because there are scorpions everywhere. It's just a dense old fog of scorpions, I'll tell you what. But nonetheless, I will persevere through my wild swings, and even when they try to steal my camel away, I will crush them. Of course, you know what else doesn't help? Bombs. They don't help either. So scorpions and bombs will probably be the number one things kicking you off your camel. Number 1 and 2 things. That's a thing that makes sense. Anyway, as we're beating these guys up, unless the next section is what I'm thinking of, it might actually be if you die. There we go, decapitated. With a hammer. Is this the section I think it is? It might actually be. 100 or 99. Yes, now it's 100% sure. So that guy, I guess, is going back to his city to report the fact that a huge ship just crashed. But he's also got an animal orb, so he has to die. There are a bunch of things to dig up here, but don't pay attention to them just yet. And be wary of sand pits, because they can very much slow you down, and you don't want that. You do have a fair amount of time to actually catch up to this guy, but you're probably not going to do it if you don't have a camel, just FYI. And so, we will now bludgeon this man to death with a hammer, because he has something I want. And he's not even trying to kill us or anything. I mean, the poor guy just wants to go home, but nope, we're murdering him. And all for the crime of having a zebra. What a world this is, when a man can just be bludgeoned to death for his animal orb, which, by the way, is actually called zebra. It's not really that useful in general, and less so here, because all he does is make grass appear or food appear in grass more often, and as he ooh, it's a pretty good weapon, actually, and it still gets critical, so it's sausage time! Crag is wielding the sausage, and he's not afraid to use it. But anyway, yeah, it makes food appear in grass more often, but A, there's no grass around here, so it's not terribly useful for this area, and B, honestly, I feel like grass spawns enough food as is, so in general, I don't find zebra all that useful. Oh well, there are other things around here that I want to see. We also check behind that statue because sometimes there are things hidden behind other things. Oddly enough, though, I don't actually check when there are those things behind other things, and that actually happens, so yeah, I do miss a few things from time to time. And right about here, if he enters that door, then you've lost him. But again, it's pretty easy to catch up, so ooh, scorpion infestation inside the city. Alright, well, another animal orb. Oh, well, it can blow open this wall, but I think we should take care of this guy first. And the nice thing about this area is we do have plenty of room to move about, so it's not too bad to get rid of this beefy dude. Plus, by this point, we've actually got a fair bit of experience dealing with these guys, I'd say. You know, we've taken care of a fair few of them, and by this point, either your magic or your arrows are probably fairly highly leveled, so, you know, you've got some sort of good projectile. I'd personally recommend Splash Magic because it usually hits the enemies twice, though then again, normal projectile magic won't do too much of a difference in that case since it'll just do double the damage. But with a single enemy like this around it, I think splash damage is the best one overall just because it'll hit them both. Alright, ooh, there's a guy over here. Guess we better go this way. Ooh, oh. And now we're in a pincer attack. That's not good. So, I'd just like to point out that these beefy Royal Guards, I'm pretty sure they're larger than pretty much any other beefy enemy in the game. And I think this is actually the only point in which they actually appear. But they are fairly large, aren't they? Now, it is somewhat easy to take care of them just because you can kind of get them to walk together, but at the same time, I think they also... Yeah, pretty sure they walk at different speeds, so... Just because you get them together doesn't mean they'll stay together. Always be wary of that, and just keep on using Splash Magic. Splash Magic is definitely the way to go here, just because there are also a bunch of little enemies just running about. You want to take care of those guys. Of course, if you get the chance, physical attacks just as useful as they always are. I mean, you can do that against beefy guys as well, but, I'd prefer not to, personally, just because that does put me at a bit of a risk for being thrown. I got one shot off from there, but yeah, I don't always feel like that's a reliable strategy. Until I get impatient, anyway. And that doesn't always bite me in the ass. Hey! Got some free meat out of that. Sweets. Alright, so, this animal orb over here is Scratchpaw. I believe he gives you 1 strength and 2 agility, so that's actually a pretty good animal buddy to have. But, of course, Crag will keep to Giraffe, because come on, look at Giraffe. Scratchpaw is cute, but so's Giraffe. So, this is a segment I don't really care for, because it's fairly long. I mean, technically speaking, it's not that long. It's not like it's longer than this whole section combined or anything like that, but at the same time, it's fairly boring because it's fairly boring, rather, because it's really flat, and the enemy encounters are all pretty samey because, well, it's the same guys we've been fighting. The nice thing is, there are no beefy guys to fight at this point, but yeah, it's just more of these guys. I think some Royal Guards get thrown into the mix, but since these guys can tornado, they can prolong the battle if you can't hit them while they're tornadoed. Ooh, more free meat. I'll take that. So yeah, it's just a fairly long segment that ends up getting longer. Oh yeah, and don't worry about the arrow guys too much. You don't even have to kill them, really. I just do because, hey, that's 1 extra point of experience, or 1.1 in my case, I suppose. Either way, though, oh, that was a fairly quick one. Thank goodness they didn't tornado. And I believe this right here is a weapon, correct? Yes, it is, but I'm probably going to keep a sausage. Yeah, -1 defense. Nope, not taking that one. Huh, no more arrow guys? I mean, I guess that guy did rush in, but not too bad. I'm pretty sure a Royal Guard or 2 comes in, but I could very well be wrong, because they don't seem to be appearing. And I think we're actually near the end of the stage, which is actually decent. Oh, random drop. Lucky me. But, alright, we take care of this dude. Don't mind me, I'm just overkilling him with sausage. Aw, darn it. Ah well, I suppose I'll brutally murder somebody even after they're dead later. Ah, see? Royal Guard. I knew it. I knew I wasn't just making things up. Thank goodness. Actually, oh wait, no, never mind. It is 2 Royal Guards and one of the other dudes. But I believe we're almost done with this section, which is good because these guys have to be running out of guys, right? I mean, this is a fairly large sandcastle, but we have murdered probably half of their civilization by this point, if not more. So you'd think they'd be ready to give up. I mean, most guys are. And then again, the Coneheads kind of did throw themselves at us until the last man, more or less. But really, these guys seem like they'd be a lot more reasonable than the Coneheads, especially since we didn't murder a groom or anything, just throwing that out there. Coneheads kind of got pissy about that one, but really, it's not even my fault. Okay, yes, I believe we're at the end of the stage, and we end this one off with a volleyball match. So, don't worry, this doesn't play by normal volleyball rules. If you're playing multiplayer, you don't have to all mix up your strikes on this volleyball here. You can hit it multiple times in a row. No need for a bump, a set, and a spike. And also, you can hit the ball, well, you can hit them while hitting the ball, and no need for serving. Though, the one thing is, even if you try serving it and it lands in your court again, yeah, that's a point against you, and I'll be honest, I'm not the best at this segment. I think I've only been able to get a perfect game of this, like, maybe once, but yeah, see, that counted for them. Oh, geez, that really counted for them. But you don't get an achievement for that either, for some reason. You'd think it would seem like it would be a prime achievement location, but we're done. Thank goodness we can solve this amicably, after I killed about half their population. And as a reward, they give us a map, and dang! This is a particularly long segment, but even so, 230 people dead in our wake. Man, what a body count. So, once we're done with the stats screen, just gonna fill stuff out here, we see that their map allows us to move onwards. So next time on Castle Crashers, we go down that route.